Africa and South America have a lot in common even though they are separated by the Atlantic Ocean. Both continents have similar flora and fauna, and even their geologic composition seems to be quite similar. The fact is, if you look closely enough, you're going to spot a similarity between the two continents. But which is better? In terms of landscape, both have beautiful desarts, rainforests, and savannas. But all of these don't affect the quality of life of their inhabitants directly. So, let's look at certain factors that have a direct influence on the quality of life and longevity. It is Africa versus South America, another Smackdown showdown brought to you by The New Tourist. We will be discussing topics like economy, infrastructure, health, and standard of living across both continents. Let us start with economy. The value and productivity of an economy are reflected in the GDP, or gross domestic product. GDP measures the monetary value of final goods and services, that is, those that are bought by the final user, produced in a country in a given period of time, say a quarter or a year. It counts all of the output generated within the borders of a country. GDP is composed of goods and services produced for sale in the market and also includes some non-market production, such as defense or education services provided by the government. We display the GDP at purchasing power parity, or PPP, to account for variations in the cost of living and inflation rates. Africa's GDP is $2.6 trillion, while South America's GDP is $3.2 trillion. With those figures in the books, it is clear that South America has a superior economy, but this battle is not over yet. We have a few points to blow through before giving a definite answer. The GDP per capita is calculated by dividing the total GDP by the number of people living in the country. A higher GDP per capita indicates a superior standard of living. Africa has a GDP per capita of $5,433, while South America has a GDP per capita of $15,738. This means that the standard of living in Africa is clearly lower compared to the standard of living in South America. However, it is worth noting that the cost of living is also comparatively lower in Africa, giving Africa a slight advantage in terms of affordable living. A low unemployment rate indicates better career opportunities and economic growth in the area. Africa has an unemployment rate of 10.6%, while South America has an unemployment rate of 2.6%. The annual increase in prices for goods and services is known as the inflation rate, and it indicates that the continent no longer has the same purchasing power. Africa has an inflation rate of 3.2%, while South America has a rate of 2.35%. Let's talk about surface areas. It can be nice to live in an area with large open spaces, as a larger space may offer more options for residents and visitors. Africa has a surface area of around 30.37 million square kilometers, while South America has a surface area of 17.84 million square kilometers. The percentage of land covered by forests is also important, as forests have a key role in removing pollutants and cleansing the air. Africa's surface area is 23% forest, while South America's surface area is 47.7% forest. The percentage of land dedicated to agricultural use, including arable land, permanent crops, and permanent pasture, is vital to every economy, especially an economy in need of raw materials for its industrial sector. Africa has about 40% of its surface area dedicated to agriculture, while South America has about 32.4% of its surface area dedicated to agricultural use. The length of a continent's whole land-to-water boundary, excluding its islands, is crucial for holidays, retreats, and tourism in general. Appropriate examples of these include Elmina in Ghana, Rio in Brazil, and pretty much any island found on either continent. Africa has a combined coastline of 30,500 kilometers, and South America has a combined coastline of 25,400 kilometers. The continent's total water area, summing up all inland waters including lakes, rivers, reservoirs, wetlands, is very important in determining the availability of potable water sources and the environmental state of the continent's various ecosystems. 9% of the world's fresh water is found in Africa, while 31% of the world's fresh water is found in South America. Now let's talk about the population, as the population is a huge decider for economic progress, as more people present more employment opportunities. Large populations attract businesses and industries to an area. Africa has a population of about 1.3 billion people, and South America has a population of about 430 million people. This means that, everything being equal, there are more opportunities in Africa than in South America. Population density shows how cramped or spread out inhabitants are. Continents with high population densities can be considered overpopulated, which can be a problem if the infrastructure is underdeveloped. Africa has a population density of 4 to 5 people per square kilometer, while South America has a population density of 84 people per square kilometer. The average population growth rate reflects the annual increase or decrease in population. Currently, the world's population is growing at a rate of approximately 1.07% per year. The higher the growth, the more dynamic society feels. Africa has an annual population growth rate of 2.45%, while South America has an annual population growth rate of 0.83%. The average life expectancy at birth is the number of years that the population of a continent is expected to live. This metric reflects the overall quality of life. Africa has an overall life expectancy of 63 years, while South America has an overall life expectancy of 80 years. The birth rate, also known as crude birth rate, refers to the annual number of births per 1,000 people. Calculated mid-year, it is one of the main factors used to determine the population growth rate. The birth rate in Africa is 32.4 per thousand, and that of South America is 17.14 per thousand. The death rate, also called the crude death rate, represents the number of annual deaths per 1,000 people at mid-year. Africa has a death rate of 8.2 per thousand, while South America has a death rate of 6.38 per thousand. The average number of children born to each woman is the total fertility rate. To calculate the total fertility rate, it is assumed that all women live to the end of their childbearing years and give birth in alignment with the prevailing age-specific fertility rates on the continent. Africa has a total fertility rate of 4.2 on this index, while South America has 2.04. Continents with younger populations usually have better development perspectives. Young societies are more dynamic and creative. A lower median age is considered better because a younger population is healthier. However, continents with an extremely low median age are often facing socioeconomic problems, especially poverty. Africa has a median age of 19.7 years, and South America has a median age of 32.1 years. The internet is indispensable for the development of an economy and society, and more access to the internet equals a greater quality of life and better living conditions. 26% of Africa's population has internet access, and 59% of South America's population has internet access. Access to electricity enables an economy to flourish, as several sectors can't even function without it. Energy also leads to the creation of new markets, businesses, and job opportunities, which provides more opportunities for individuals to earn an income and lift themselves, their families, and their communities out of poverty. 43% of Africa's population has access to electricity, and 98% of South America's population has access to electricity. There are so many things that differentiate South America from Africa, but without a doubt, Africa and South America are meant to work together if they are to gain the respect of the rest of the world. These are two continents with so much cultural linkage, and it's something that they must utilize for the betterment of their societies. Areas in which these continents possibly work together to achieve economic developments include energy trading, reduction in governments, imposed protections which limit access to resources that are vital to both sides, and they must aim to work in cooperation instead of one side trying to gain an advantage, as we have seen between EU countries and their relations with African traders. South America-Africa relations merit attention, especially as they are likely to grow and change in the coming years. Increasing engagement between the two continents reflects the steps both are taking to integrate into a truly global economy. This process of integration is not without its challenges, but ultimately represents important opportunities for trade diversification and development cooperation for both sides. The two continents have demonstrated a growing interest in the beginning and development of diplomatic relations. For instance, 32 of the 53 African nations are represented politically in Latin America, with Algeria, South Africa, and Egypt having the highest levels of participation. Brazil, Cuba, and Venezuela are the three most notable Latin American and Caribbean nations having political representation in Africa. Recently, nations like Mexico and Brazil expressed a desire to strengthen their diplomatic ties with Africa. The Africa-South America Summit, which aims to strengthen socio-economic and cultural links and address the difficulties faced by the two regions in the fast globalizing world, is one of the platforms for bi-regional cooperation that are now in place. The African Union is rather direct in its assessment that not much has been achieved thus far in this relationship, even though ASA has significant promise. Notwithstanding, there are a lot of points that both unite and divide these two continents both economically and demographically. So, what do you think, guys? Which is better and why? Let us know in the comments below. South America or Africa? How do you think it'll be if these two continents should continue to work together for their mutual benefit? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and also don't forget to like our video, as it enables our content to reach a wider audience. Thanks for watching, and see you in another one.